Welcome back to NBA Today. So James Harden didn't attend Sixers practice earlier today as the team prepared for tomorrow's preseason finale against the Hawks. Nick Nurse spoke at practice, and here's what he had to say about Harden's absence.
I think the organization has, made it clear what's going on. They're working on stuff as we say day by day. So if that changes, we'll adjust. That's what we do.
With him not being here, I guess the expectation is that he will not play tomorrow.
Yeah, I think it's unlikely that he plays tomorrow, but again, you never know what tomorrow morning may bring, and we'll see.
ESPN senior writer Brian Windhorst joins us now alongside Kendrick Perkins. And Brian, not much clarity coming out of Sixers practice today, but what more can you tell us just about the uncertainty around James Harden right now?
Yeah, so after James Harden didn't come to practice yesterday, his agent called the team, told them that he was away for personal reasons, and that is what the team reported today. Now, they're not saying that it's an excused absence, but typically when a team announces personal reasons, it's an excused absence, which is what I believe is happening here, which means that it's not going to be a fine. So, as Bobby Marks has said in the past, he has already been paid $18 million salary for this season. His first 41 game checks have already been put in his bank account. And so he is away from the team, and we now have an old-fashioned standoff with, at least for the moment, apparently no fines going his way.
Perk, I hear you laughing.
Yeah, but I'm laughing, but it's not funny at all because I'm laughing from trying to get pissed off because I'm thinking to myself, how long is Daryl Morey going to continue to put up with this, right? I get it. He may have played a role in this. We don't know the truth. But at the end of the day, I do know this. Daryl Morey have other players in this locker room that's about to start their season in a few days, okay? And my problem with this is that you have a guy that's your MVP in Joel Embiid that's ready to go out there and compete. And the way that the Celtics and the Bucks have gotten better, you don't have time to have these distractions going into the season. You have Tyrese Maxey there, let him rock out. You have a first-year head coach of this franchise, and Nick Nurse. He don't need to deal with this. So at the end of the day, my solution is what I said yesterday, and I'm going to repeat it again. If I'm Daryl Morey, I would tell James Harden to stay home until I figure out a way to trade him and get back what I want.
Okay, well, let's bring in NBA front office insider Bobby Marks into the conversation here. Bobby, what should the Sixers do with the season just 5 days away?
Yeah, in a perfect world, I would agree with Perk that they should just send James Harden away, send him home, pay him his money, and basically tell him to sit there until we are about to trade you, whether it be a month from now or in February. Now, what's going to happen here is that the league would certainly step in here for a player that has asked to be traded. Remember, we've got this new player participation policy. The last thing Philadelphia needs to do is send him home, and then all of a sudden you're getting fined in itself here. But we're getting to a point here. The next time it's not going to be personal. It's the next time he's not going to be showing up here. And for a new head coach in Nick Nurse with a franchise player in Joel Embiid, eventually you have to eliminate the distractions, and the distractions is James Harden.
Yeah, I do think that's where the situation is, and I did hear Perk laughing because we all know what it's like when he goes back home to Houston. That means that's his safe zone. That means that he's really not jiving with what's going on professionally. But one thing I will note is that ever since he left Houston, then went to Brooklyn, then went to Philly, he's had different tactics of getting what he wants. In this circumstance, he showed up quote unquote as a professional, meaning he's not like out of shape. He's not really being disgruntled, affecting the other teammates in practice. He showed up, what would look like a true professional. This is a guy that averaged 21 and 11 assists last year. And so he's capable of stepping onto another team, and that's what he wants. And I think that's the subliminal. Like, he's staying ready to some degree, contrary to where he has entered the preseason, because he knows he has to keep his market value high. But the only way you keep your market value high is by showing up in practice and potentially playing in games. And that's what will help your circumstance. So I feel like it's a lose-lose scenario, because what would keep your market value high is exactly the opposite of what he's doing by staying away from the squad.
And specifically, we talk about market value. Reportedly, what we understand is that the market he wants is the LA market. And so, Bobby, like, how does what's going on right now between Philly and Harden impact the Clippers?
Well, if you're the Clippers, you're looking at the situation and say, well, why are we going to bid against ourselves? The same trade that could be there in late October is going to be there in February, whether it be Terrence Mann or maybe draft picks here. And if you're Los Angeles, you're saying, we're not doing anything. We could have done this deal 2 months ago, and we're not going to include a player like Terrence Mann here. And you're sitting back and you're waiting for it to get ugly here. So there's no urgency from the Clippers' perspective. There's probably no urgency from anybody out there. And that's why I agree with Chiney. The best thing for Philadelphia and the best thing for James Harden is for James Harden to be on the court and to show that he can play at a high level, to restore his trade value, and not sitting home in Houston.
Let's bring in a front office insider, Bobby Marks, in the latest edition of ESPN.com's NBA Future Power Rankings out now. And it's a bit surprising seeing any team with Victor Wembanyama in the bottom half of the list, given it's about the future. So what went into that decision, Bobby?
Well, we looked at it. There's 5 different categories here, Cassidy. Certainly the player roster, and this is for the next 3 years. Players, draft, market, management, and then certainly money here. And I think where we have San Antonio at 18 right now, I would certainly put that in pencil. I think what we've seen with Victor Wembanyama moving forward can certainly see them potentially crack the top 15. Remember, last year we had Oklahoma City at 23. They're at number 3 right now. And for this Spurs team, tons of cap flexibility moving forward, 12 future first-round picks, lots of room to improve here.
Perk, where are the Spurs in your rankings?
Number 1, are we going based on the next 3 years, right, Bobby? The next 3 years, because
we are based.
Last time
yes,
I checked,
we are bringing out our yes.
Okay, I thought about culture. Within culture, I thought about player development, and the Spurs are the prime example, right with the Miami Heat, of actually getting a lot of people that nobody know anything about except for Victor Wembanyama and turning them into Hall of Famers and hoopers. Like, just think about Ginobili, right? Late second round pick. I mean, look what he turned out to be. This is the Greg Popovich effect and the Spurs effect. To add on, Victor Wembanyama, you know, Woj texted me the other day and said, hey, Perk, I want to tell you, I love the breakdown that you did on halftime at Countdown. Victor Wembanyama is going to be the best player in the league on both ends of the floor in the next 3 years. I thought about it for a second, and I said, you know what? Woj is right. We're talking about a 7-4 version of Kevin Durant offensively. It's nothing he can't do. Defensively, we haven't seen anything like him, ability to anchor a defense from all areas of the floor when he's not even in the play. This is crazy.
I think the Spurs should be higher than 18, but they're not 1. And one of the reasons, I think, is because we don't know how many players that they have right now that are going to be core players. Devin Vassell, probably. Jeremy Shohan, good chance, but I don't know how many of these guys are actually going to fit with Wembanyama. Cassidy mentioned this lineup. They're starting the Everything is Bigger in Texas lineup with 4 centers and forwards and 1 shooting guard. Like, maybe it'll work, but even that feels like they're throwing it against the wall. So I think I'm very bullish on Wembanyama. Obviously, I went to France twice to chronicle him last year, but I also know the Spurs might be a few years away from seriously contending.
Well, let's take a look at the top 5 and see. Perk, I want to get your reaction, specifically who's landing in that top spot, who you say should be the Spurs, but look at your Celtics there.
I'm not mad at that. Why is Golden State there? Why? That's the question. Why is Golden State there? We're talking about over the next 3 years. I mean, I would actually put other teams in front of Golden State, like maybe Memphis, you know, maybe the Cleveland Cavaliers. I don't know, Bobby. I don't know. It's looking kind of funny in the light.
Here's how we look at it. You have to look at it in 3 years. Where's Donovan Mitchell going to be 3 years from now or 2 years from now? Is he going to be in a Cleveland uniform? I'm not so sure. I think anytime you have Steph Curry on your roster for the next 3 years, along with Andrew Wiggins and Draymond Green, and certainly Klay Thompson, we don't know yet next year. They're still a top 5 team. Memphis was #1 back-to-back years. Certainly the situation with Ja Morant, we bumped them back about 4 spots. But for us, Boston solidifies at #1 when you have Jason Tatum, who's going to likely sign a supermax next year. You have Jaylen Brown already committed, Kristaps Porzingis for another 3 years. You made the Drew Holiday trade. You have a top 4 management group here. And the only thing that's in the downside is the money factor here. So you better like your roster here. And that's a big reason why the Celtics are at #1, just based on their core players committed for the next 3 to 4 years.
Bobby, I will say I do like the OKC Thunder all the way up there, because as much as we're talking about the Spurs potentially being in the playoffs and pursuing a championship over the next 5 years, I like the Thunder with Chet, SGA, and Giddey and company. So I saw that and I was like, okay, I like it. I stand.